Yo, what's up? This is Ed Lee, and I'm just filming my daily vlog for, my campaign. And today I'm going to talk about why DSA is actually communist and not socialist. So I actually get people who contact me like, yo, Ed, socialism is actually, right, Social Security, welfare, things like that. And they're not wrong. But the thing is that if we look at like communist and socialist theory, the thing is that communism is state ownership of, businesses and stuff like that. And also, it also has the idea where Marx was originally had the idea of a workers' party, right? A workers' revolution. The thing is that during Lenin's time, during Russia, they did not actually have the they did not have the resources as the bourgeoisie to actually take over. So what happened was they wanted to use the peasants, but they didn't really have an industrialized society. So they created something called the Vanguard Party. And the Vanguard Party is actually this bougie class that actually is really the gentrification of activism. The thing is that a group of leaders with more perks, right, and we can see this happening within the DSA right now, Morris Katz, you can see that the leadership saying that we don't want to have the general membership be able to have a voice as in terms of, right, who gets to be president. And if you look at AOC, she just has so much popular appeal. You would think that she would just be maybe even automatically, when there's a chance that there could be a contestation of that, and maybe some type of, dissatisfaction in the party, maybe a breakaway, right? Maybe some kind of split, maybe that's what they're worried about. But the fact of the matter is they don't trust the people. They want to have the bougies kind of run the whole thing. I also want to say that besides this Vanguard Party conception, the thing is that when you take a look at something like Hot Girls for Zoran, right? We know that there's long been a trade between beauty and power. And the thing is that if you take a look at the people who are in the, like corporate headquarters, right? Who's working the reception? Usually a very attractive woman who could easily be a model. And if you take a look at Zoran's chief of staff, Elisa Biscard Church or whatever, that's her name. You could look her up. She looks like a supermodel straight up. And when you talk about hotness, right, you're not talking about beauty. You're talking about popularity, and which has some merging with attractiveness. And this is this type of mentality of it's really the formation of a new aristocracy. So look, I used to support the idea of Medicare for all, but once I got involved with the activism, I found that the activism was all run by doctors and drug companies, and people who were victims of the medical system were actually pushed out of the way. And it's right, and they would select a certain few, people who were victims who had a good story and who had nothing, no criticism of the leadership at all. It's very manipulative. And we look at Julia Salazar. When you see that the solutions for Robert Brooks, the solution was not to actually empower people who were, formerly imprisoned, or to really, and not saying that they couldn't be sellouts either, but the thing is that you really just channel more money towards the not-for-profit industrial complex. And you could look at it, I have a video on this, right? Who actually is getting the money and the responsibility? This same not-for-profit was in charge before Robert Brooks died. So they're just funneling more money to the same people that had it before. It's a new form of aristocracy that's really using the frustrations of the poor to put themselves in power. I love the saying that says, "Nothing about us without us." And shout out to 12 Veils on that. This is really an essential part of activism. You cannot gentrify activism. It's just not tolerable. So also, we can see that another thing that makes DSA communist in nature is the fact that you could see that they are actually the grocery stores, right? They're getting into the grocery stores in something called COPA, where now the property will now become state-owned. right? Before they were through the not-for-profits, which people say they're not government, but really, when the government's the one who's funding them, right? If the government didn't fund them, they wouldn't be able to exist. And you can't really call that a non-government organization, but there's a lot of manipulation of terms and redefinition of words to meet new goals. And this kind of bureaucratic redefinition of things to meet goals instead of actually addressing reality is a huge problem. So that's today's episode. Thank you so much for checking it out. God bless.